The camp industry has some great leaders, and we've interviewed a bunch of them, and we've got another one for you. Mike Stillson showed tremendous leadership in guiding his organization to open last summer and continue programming through the off-season. Regionally, as the reigning president of the Western Association of Independent Camps, he's been a steady hand in moderating the ins and outs of the pandemic for day and resident camps west of the Rocky Mountains. Nationally, he founded Save Last Summer to help ensure that all camps in North America can flourish in 2021. I can't wait for you guys all to meet my friend Mike. This is the Day Camp Pod. Welcome back, my friends, to the Day Camp Podcast. I'm Andy Pritikin, Director of Liberty Lake in the Philly suburbs of New Jersey.
I'm Sam Thompson from Crystal Lake Park District, Crystal Lake, Illinois.
I'm Tiffany Grattan McDuffie from Purposeful Play, both in Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Chicago, Illinois.
And we are Day Camp pros, dedicated to the professional development of our colleagues, discussing topics and best practices that can improve our organizations and ourselves. And today we are joined by Mike Stillson, another awesome camp pro that doesn't seem to sleep much. Mike, you're a busy man.
Very busy out here in SoCal, just trying to make it work, keep our day camp programs going, and get camps all across the country open again this summer.
Right. And you're the kind of guy, and I've been in your shoes, when I was the president of ACA, New York, New Jersey. I feel like, how does this guy do anything for his own camp? Do you ever ask yourself that sometimes?
Sometimes I do, but the fact is, what I'm doing for my camp, you just, rinse and repeat and keep doing it for everyone else's too. So we're all on a mission to provide programs for kids, and at the same time, make sure camps are able to not just survive, but to thrive.
Yeah, no doubt. So since, we don't really know you, my co-host doesn't really know you, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and how you got into this whole thing and got to where you are, and about your camps that you're involved in.
Absolutely. So been involved in camping now for 33 years. Realized it's my passion, it's what I wanted to do. So been operating Valley Trails now as the executive director for 23 years, and I haven't missed a summer camp since I was 4 years old. So kind of addicted to this whole camp thing. Operate two locations, one in Tarzana and one in Santa Cruz. So two different areas in Southern California, and one location is located on a private school campus, and the other location is 200 acres of rustic, beautiful acreage out here in SoCal, where we also do team building programs, retreats, field trips, and all that. Until this darn COVID thing came and interrupted, we were averaging around 15,000 kids a year doing field trips and a whole lot more. So back in the day camp world full time and loving it.
So what did they do on these field trips when they came to you?
So we had about 12,000 kids a year that came and did hands-on gold rush experiences. So we have a whole gold rush town that we built out. And then we also have a Native American Chumash field trip for our third graders. So
really?
Yeah.
What does this gold rush thing look like?
What
are they doing?
They are making butter. They're doing laundry. They're panning for golden sluice boxes, dip candles. I've got all my staff in the dress of the era, acting in different roles.
No way.
And it's in about 2.5 hours, they are learning literally the entire Gold Rush curriculum.
Holy mackerel. That is so fascinating. I had no idea. So how would you describe your camp? What's the elevator pitch for your, are they basically mirror images, the two camps?
They are not mirror images in any way when it comes to location, but it's about the foundation of the program. So the fact is, we are what you and I old school would call traditional camp, meaning that they're here to learn what they need to know to really have those experiences that we all had growing up. So making friends, trying new things, getting dirty. One of the things in California, kids don't know how to get dirty anymore, so we're really teaching them how to do that. But it's everything from the arts and crafts, sports, games, rock climbing, team building, all the good stuff.
Excellent. And how long is your season for?
In California, one location here is 8 weeks, the other one's 9 weeks. And then we also, back in the day, offered a lot of flexible scheduling, which we were talking about pre-show, but these days, 5-day-a-week programs, and it's awesome.
And from what I recall, you were one of my first colleagues. Sam was also up there too, that immediately flipped into, okay, we're going to try to take advantage of this fact that the kids aren't in school and that they can have a place to do their school and all that kind of thing, right?
Absolutely. So I've actually been serving about 185 kids a day doing our school year program. So I have not stopped doing camps since June. So it's been nonstop. So at this point, running summer, I could do that with my eyes closed.
And what's a day look like for these virtual school kids?
They would literally come in and we'd get them going. We'd plug them in with their teachers and do distant learning. But then our camp counselors would go ahead and they would do camp activities. So everything from the arts and crafts and the sports and games, but most importantly, the socialization. And that's where kids, that's what they're really missing these days. And that's what we're focusing on. So, for some of the kids, it took them 2 or 3 days to really come on in and feel acclimated again and feel safe. But once that happened, they were back to being their kids again. And their parents actually said, "Thank you for saving my child." And it really means a lot.
So where are you getting staff to do this, by the way?
Well, since most of these staff, as you would say, are college age students, most of the universities aren't open for them to go live in, and they can take their classes whenever they need to. So I've got people that might be going to school way out of state, but they're living here locally. They come with the work during the day and they take their classes later.
Gotcha. So Sam, is this similar to what you guys are doing or what?
Yes, exactly. We've got them plugged in with their teacher, and then any time in between or before or after, then we're doing camp type activities with them. Mike, I named mine Endless Summer because it just kept going until at least October before we got to go back to school. So um, like you said, being able even from a distance to socialize in the same room has been really helpful. Definitely.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's seizing the moment.
And the staff thing was great. The people that didn't go away to school that were doing it online for the college students, I got to keep some of my good summer staff that I wouldn't have been able to have because they couldn't go back to school, but they were doing it online. They weren't living at school, like you said. So
No, I think that was great. And when the season began, we still had kids. Well, when the school year began, we still had kids that were coming on site for running programming. We historically had ran programming year round. My biggest struggle would be their parents weren't making them go to sleep on time, so they'd be in front of a computer like, wake up, like, hey. And so since they were so used to camp being teaching a different way, it was very interesting to see the dynamic of what the actual school day looked like and how we could still infuse like brain breaks and stuff like that in between so that they could be motivated, because essentially this whole thing made elementary school kids college students overnight, right? Like remote learning for 8-year-olds, like where does that happen? But I think it also speaks to the resilience of the kids and all of the soft skills that we bake into camp, how they were really able to bring those out to be better kids, and to step into the challenge that COVID has created for us. I also love, Mike, how you talked about there not being really a huge difference in your camps and the camps that you support. Because kind of like once you have this system and this methodology or this foundation, you say you rinse and repeat it and you can just apply it not only to yourself but to others. So I like that.
Yeah, I mean, two things. One of the things I want to hit, number one, you can also tell the difference between the teachers that worked at a camp and the ones that didn't right now, because they are so much more capable of just flipping the switch and figuring out how to teach remotely, and they're flexible. And the other thing is, first of all, I don't call my staff, I call them leaders. And when I'm hiring and recruiting, I look for leaders, role models, and superheroes. So I never use the word counselor, and I never use the word staff, but that's the foundation of my program. Without them, my program means absolutely nothing. And that's really what we're all about, is finding the right individuals to facilitate, to lead, and they're the heart and soul.
Repeat that. Leaders, what, in superheroes?
Leaders, role models, and superheroes.
It's so awesome. It's just like the psychology of it all, just even helping people step into that role and take more ownership of it. I never call my staff either, but I just call them team members or leads. But I love that. One time I did a bunch of like job descriptions and I needed bus monitors and I called them superheroes of the road, because like it's crazy managing a bus full of kids, and like you got to keep them seated and keep them seated and keep them safe and keep them entertained. And I remember one of my coaches the very first year when I was also just figuring it out, they'd be like, because we were heavily field trip based as well, they'd be like, well, what's the entertainment on the bus? And I'd be like, You are the entertainment. So that's what makes you a superhero of the road. So no, I love that as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great cheap psychology trick to be using. I went from bus counselors to bus captains, and it just changed things. That small little thing I learned. And when I met the person in charge of human resources for Six Flags in our area, she was just like, "Yeah, it's team. Everything is team," you know. And I immediately went to my computer and changed all my staff files that said staff and everything. Everything I just changed to team. And try to do that. But so what do your files say, Mike? Do they say like superheroes? I don't know. Like when you like
Well, the files say leaders, but the
say
fact
leaders.
is,
All right.
but their shirts, they all get different shirts that they wear all week long. And on the back, back in the day, you'd say staff or counselor or whatever, but we changed it to where it says leaders, role models, superheroes, facilitators of fun, and mentors. So they actually have 5 different shirts, and those are also reminders for each other why they're there and what they're doing, and they really buy into it.
Yeah, and you know what? I definitely feel like it's good psychology, but I also feel like even for like as I look to replace myself as a small camp owner, one of the things that was most difficult was thinking like, how do I leave my baby, with someone? Like, how do you leave your camp and, is it being left in good hands? But I think when you implement that, like this is what happens here, this is who we are leader. This is not just a fun title. It makes you feel better, but it makes you also step into the role of that is what you are. So yeah.
But not only that, but I found that the parents appreciate that. And
Mhm.
when I'm communicating to parents, and I'm just saying, you're not just sending your child here, you're trusting us with your most prized possession, and we're giving them to our leaders. It makes it's much more than like a babysitter or just some body that you're passing them off to. So I think the parents actually really buy into, they get it, and they also see that we put a lot more interest and time and effort into our staffing than many other programs out there as well.
That's great. It's just good. It's good respect. It shows respect, to me, for the staff. These poor people, they work so hard. They're the most important people that we have on our team, and they make the least amount of money and all that. And the least we could do is try to figure out these little things,
Wait, you pay
but
your staff?
yeah, we do.
Okay.
In New Jersey, we
Yeah.
got to pay everybody minimum wage.
My staff's favorite shirt said, "My boss thinks I'm kind of a big deal." They wanted me to bring that one back again. They liked that one.
So Mike's camp, if you haven't deduced it right from now, is in California, right? And I make fun of New Jersey all the time. And now that I'm getting to know my friends in California better, I just California is a crazy country. That's all I got to say. You guys deal with a lot of regulation and stuff. And to make matters worse, you guys got the COVID thing like at a worse time in many ways. Like it hit you guys, when, at the worst situation. So do you guys have, I know that you as the WAIC president have a lot of interaction with the government, the state government. Is there a lobbying little group?
Yeah, so we are part of California Collaboration for Youth. So that is one of the largest lobbying organizations or groups in California on behalf of camps. So because of the hard work and all the diligence that we put into it, we were able to get the guidance last year to open up our day camps. And it was huge. It was a matter of working with the different counties, different cities, but mostly the state. The state really guided everything here in California. No one will make a move without the state saying anything. So we were actually also supposed to get the resident camp guidance a week later. That never happened. So right now we are still working with CCFY, and we're starting to get some good news that hopefully here in California, where we'll be opening up some resident camps this summer.
Yes, that is good news. And the same thing is going on in the East Coast, and I'm guessing it's going on in the middle of the country too.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily they were telling us in Illinois it'd be May or June, and ACA Illinois was so persistent that now they're doing talks, and at least we're at the table. So we're trying to get Illinois started up as well.
Right. So just to show you the kind of benevolent person Mike is, that he and his friend, another Andy, he's friends with a lot of Andys. he started this Save Our Summer thing. So why don't you tell everybody about that? Because
Yeah,
it looks like it's actually working to a degree.
It is actually working. Not only is it working, but it's actually gone across the borders to Canada as well. But my friend Andy Mosberger, Gold Arrow, and I, we were really talking about what do we need to do to get camps open. And as camp owners and operators, our voice is only so big. And we realize if you look at our camp families, how many people do we reach out to? So we actually started what's called Save Next Summer. And if you want to check it out, go to savenextsummer.com. And this is where we gave the tools and the resources for campers, camp families, camp operators to go ahead and send letters and communicate and share why camps need to be open. And it started off with just the West Coast, and then it opened up and opened up and opened up to where I believe we have close to 30 states and then some Canadian territories as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. And for camps that opened last summer, you were soliciting them to tell their stories and give their information so you could get it on there and create like a hub for information for people to be able to go to.
Yeah, not only that, but also to show that when you open a camp and you do it right, that you can be successful. That camp really is a safe place for kids and that they can get what they need out of their experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Like I said, we New Jersey, New York, a lot of states on here on the East Coast are just finding about this right now, which is terrific. So before we go on, I just want to plug our friends from AM Skyer because since we're in feel good mode. AM Skyer is leading insurance company and strategic partner for many of our finest camps in America. For 101 years, AM Skyer has been supporting camps in PR, legal, health, facility management, general safety, and more. Experience the AM Skyer difference at amskyer.com. And, you know, AM Skyer is always trying to help camps overall. And another reason we love them is because they support an organization called Experience Camps. So if you're looking for a 2021 service project for your camp, Experience Camps might be a great partner for you. They're a national no-cost program for grieving children who have experienced the death of a parent, sibling, or primary caregiver. Their 1-week overnight summer camp and year-round programs help to reframe the experience of grief and empower kids to develop invaluable coping skills that enable them to move forward with their lives. So if you're looking to give back or help support grieving kids, or you want to be part of this, like I said, a service project for your teenagers, maybe, you can contact Jesse, Jesse, at experiencecamps.org. And we'll put that in our show notes. Speaking of show notes, Mike, you know, we always put a little thing from our guests. All right. And I want to grab that picture of you in your convertible with your gorgeous puppy. You got a beautiful dog there.
Oh, Augie is awesome. He's a 14-week-old golden Bernedoodle. So he's 27 pounds of fur right now.
And you take him back and forth from Tarzana to wherever and all that?
I wish I would, but my wife is a teacher, and right now with COVID, she's teaching from home, so she likes to take him during the day. So if it were up to me, he'd be with me, but she gets to teach from home.
How far is it between the two camps?
One camp is a mile commute from my house. The other one's 37 miles.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's when you can put the top down.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tough life in Southern California. Yeah.
I told you can open up your off-season office out here.
Hey, I'm willing. If anyone wants to trade, I'm down for a trade. That's what I'm up. So let's just talk about day camps in California, right, for a second. What's the typical length of stay that people go to a day camp in California?
Day camps in California are so different than when I was growing up. You know, back in the day, you either went session 1, session 2, and you either had 5 days a week, or you went Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But once again, here in California, there's so many different opportunities. People are really looking for flexibility. So pre-COVID, most camps usually offered about 2-week minimum, and then the typical 3, 4, or 5 day a week option, and lots of flexibility. Just because, once again, travel, and then the need for families to do their buffet camping and go from one place to another with their friends. But now with COVID, it's totally changed. So right now, every camp out here, it's a 5-day week program, and we're finding that most families, they're looking to sign up for the majority of the majority of their summer. They're not traveling. You know, all that stuff's up in the air. So we're kind of going back to old school, And it's actually a nice thing to see where you've got the same kids there all week long. And it's about that community of relationships and friendships and all that good stuff.
COVID silver linings, baby.
Absolutely. So, some good stuff has actually come out of this experience. The fact is, been able to really look at our programs and see what's important. And you're actually able to strip out a lot of that fluff and really get down to the meat and potatoes of what your program is really about and give the kids what they need.
Oh, yes. I did a whole mini pod with Liz Kimmelman, which I was
Yep.
just talking all about that.
Another good friend of mine.
So let's just talk about your good friends in Wake, because I have to say, so I met Mike in person at the ACA National Conference in San Diego.
Absolutely.
I guess it was about 13 months ago, right before the world ended. And and they convinced me through the wonderful, like, somebody who came up with this is definitely a camp person, obviously, of, hey, you sign up, you get a year for free. And then if you like it, you stay on to be a member of this WAIC group, WAIC. And I said, what the heck? These seem like really cool people. And then immediately the pandemic hit. And they have a series of listserv emails that, you sign up for various ones and you can get on them. And immediately I saw so much support for one another and people reaching out to one another. And I have to say, not to kiss your butt too much, but under the steady hand of Mike over here, who was really steering the ship, and people were panicking, of course. And when you panic over listserv emails, it can be alarming. And Mike had to sort of just monitor that and all that, through, and the whole time staying very optimistic and very much like, if we can do this, we're going to do this kind of attitude. And I have to hand it to you, that was great. But it wasn't just you. It was, you have so many great people that are part of this organization, and everybody is just so supportive of each other. I mean, is it competitive? Like, do you guys? There is no backstabbing. There is no like. You guys seem so great with each other.
What does it stand for? I'm sorry. What is the
WAIC is the Western Association of Independent Camps.
Awesome. Thank you.
And what Andy was saying is 100% correct. There is zero backstabbing. If anything, we are not an organization, we're a family. And one of the things we've always said is we don't need to compete. There's enough kids out there to fill all of our camps. Our goal is to make every camp as good as it can be, not recreate the wheel, support one another. And this year we found more ways to support one another than ever before. And I have to say, WAIC is a very forward-thinking organization. We're always trying to figure out how can we innovate, how can we create, and how can we create the best programs, not just for our campers, but for our staff as well. We're always looking for different ways for professional development for the leadership, as well as how can we provide better experiences for kids. But you're right, Andy, this year, I think that the WAIC group really came together, and it was therapeutic to have these weekly meetings. So we had day camp meetings, we had resident camp meetings, we had all organizational meetings, and people found their way to get through it. The camps that decided not to open, they weren't just telling, making a basic announcement. They were actually coming out to their family and saying, we've made this decisions and we can't do it. And you had a group of people there that were going to comfort them and let them know that it's okay. And for the few of us that were able to figure out how to open, those camps supported us through and through, and we're there in every single way that you can imagine. So being a part of WAIC and being able to lead the organization is probably one of the biggest joys of my life right now.
It's really wonderful. I'm so happy to be a part of it and be on these phone calls. And when you're witnessing this, you sort of get a vibe that this is just a whole bunch of camps like in Los Angeles County or something like that, because they're so close and they're so tight and they know so much about each other. But actually, it stretches like from the Mexican border to like Washington State. And now we got Kelly Shuna in Minnesota, and we got, Howie in Canada, and we've got, a lot of Colorado people. It's actually a big footprint.
And don't forget Virginia.
Yeah.
We got Camp Motorsports and Astro Camp out there too.
Right. They're good people too.
The thing that's so awesome about that is that, especially for independent camp owners, you can sometimes just be in a silo, right? And so ACA does help build that bridge. I know for many years, I falsely presumed that ACA was, oh, it's just for resident camp, so I can't, there's no place for me. And women in camp is what made me say, okay, let me get involved. And then realizing, oh, they can't. I literally didn't even know that I could get accredited. And after attending a few things, I was, I got accredited the same year. So I love initiatives like this because it helps to create that collaborative spirit that camp is really all about. The other thing that for any small camps that are listening is, I don't be afraid to ask, right? Like the camp community is one, this is not like, other industries with startups that are just like, no, there's not enough room. I think we all know that there are more than enough kids that we can serve, and maybe there's just, better marketing that could be done or what have you. Doesn't mean that there's not competition, but literally in opening my camp, the YMCA, which runs their own camps in Milwaukee, the Urban Ecology Center, which run their own camps in Milwaukee, all were an intricate part of my ability to start up. And so I think just that spirit of collaboration, at least in this space, is definitely something that exists. I literally have on one of my walls, #just ask. And sometimes it's just, asking for that information to realize that something like this even exists. So yeah, kudos to you for, did you spearhead that effort?
Oh no, WAIC has been around way before me.
Okay.
And it's just a great organization. It used to be comprised typically from Colorado West, but what we realize now is everyone is west of somewhere. So the fact is that you do need to be accredited by the American Camp Association to have membership. But the fact is that all we're looking for are like-minded people, quality people, and that's why we invited Andy to join us. I mean, Andy's a great guy once you get to know him.
Agreed. Andy is a great guy most days.
Well, and
his
listen,
dog is too.
my dog. Yeah, she's locked in my room here. She wants to know what's going on out there. I mean, look, ACA, I'm a huge supporter of ACA, of course, and I have lots of colleagues I've made through that. But there's just something about WAIC that's just very California, and it's just, I know Tiff goes out to California. She knows what I'm talking about. But it's just a chillness and a sort of honest kind of like vibe that it's just really real, and I really appreciate it, and the friends I've made out there.
In my head, I live in California, and in the pandemic, I was there like once a month in winter because I just couldn't deal with the Midwest winters. So yeah, I am hard in California right now.
Well, my Zoom backdrop is California. That's about as close as I'm getting. But I can't wait to go back. There's no doubt about it. I got relatives up and down the coast there. So Mike, summer 2021 at Valley Trails. And what's the other one?
Valley Trails.
No, they're both Valley Trails?
They're both Valley Trails.
There's not Valley Trail 1 and Valley Trail 2. It's like
I have two locations: Valley Trails Tarzana, Valley Trails Santa Clarita.
Gotcha. So when people ask you now, so Mike, what are you going to do different in 2021 versus 2020? What do you say?
Absolutely nothing, other than we have more time to plan and to make sure that our program is even better.
Right. Yeah, that tends to be the vibe, no doubt, especially in California.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that out here in California, COVID's still COVID. Our guidance hasn't changed. And the other thing is we've got this down. So why change it? I mean, we're going to offer a great program. We're going to provide the experiences the kids need, give parents what they're looking for, and it works.
Yeah, there are a lot of good things that came out of last summer. The COVID silver linings, like Andy keeps saying, that I think I'll keep forever now.
So in California,
you could be an infomercial for all camps everywhere. Like they just need to run that back. Just spoke with the most confidence and clarity, and this is what's going to do. This is what's happening, and you should be there. I mean, why not? Like, yeah, everybody that's listening, if you're worried about what to tell parents, as long as you've done the precautions, listen to what Mike just said and just run that back. I'm a mom, and I would send my kids to a place described as such. I think a lot of us. I love the confidence in the response, honestly, because I think a lot of us, even that ran camps, are just, if Andy would have asked me that, I would instantly start thinking, oh, what can I change? You know what I mean? because it's instinctive to think. So just to say like, no, we did it and it worked and it went fine and we met the precautions. Kids need out, parents want them out. We're here to provide, like, let's make it happen. So for me, it's inspirational for me, and I ran camp. So
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, I mean, Mike, you're an example of it, is you and I are similar in that, is that we just keep trying to put that fork to the camps that didn't run, to have that same kind of confidence, even though you don't know exactly what it's going to look like if you haven't done it. You've had all these camps that set a template for you, so you sort of do know what it looks like. So don't say that. and enroll your kids and hire your staff and move forward with all the confidence in the world, and it's going to work out.
And the other thing is, when you're talking to parents right now, you have to speak with confidence, because if you don't have that confidence that you're going to run it safely and you're not going to do it right, the parents aren't going to choose you, because once again, you're dealing with their most prized possessions. So have your plan, stick to your plan. Know that if this is your first year running, you're going to be making changes every single day for the next 2 to 3 weeks within your first 3 weeks of camp. But once you've got it, it becomes a routine and it becomes a new way of doing things.
All right. So, Mr. Confidence, what was the most surprising aspect of last summer to you, that sort of like that you didn't expect?
That we could do it. The fact is that when it comes down to camp, it's, once again, it's all about what we know. That camp is about community. It's about those relationships, those friendships, and when it comes down to it, the activities are meaningless. It's, can you provide those experiences? And you see those kids come. You see the kids come back for the same reason. They come back because time stands still, and you may not see each other during the school year, but once you're at camp, it's the program.
Preach, baby. I want to see in your brochure the activities are meaningless. So let's see right across the top.
they're just a tool, though. I mean, that's totally
It's great.
They're just a tool. They're
Right.
because literally, when kids think of what the kids might think of what they did, but we think of what they learned, and so it's the foundation behind it. But I hear you, Andy. That is funny. I don't think because parents are like, wait, what are you all doing? And
Right. Right.
but it's very cool to describe what you're doing as the transformation that the kids are getting, because honestly, that does matter more. The times where I would say we're going on this trip, and this trip, that might be cool because they want their kids to experience that. But when I would say things like, oh, we're helping kids stop overdosing on tablets and technology, every time I say the word overdosing, people are just like, wait, what is she going to say? But then you say on tablets and technology, and I just put my head down at the same time. I'm acting like I'm on my phone or my tablet, and they're like, oh, yes. So no, it is the experience by all means.
Yeah, I tell all of our families, when you come to camp, you're unplugging. And especially now, they want their kids to be unplugged.
Yeah, no, we're in the right place at the right time. There's no doubt about it. And Mike was telling me before we started that his enrollment, like mine, is off the charts higher than we've ever had it before at this point. How's your staffing going?
Staffing's going well. The fact is the staff that worked last year, they all want to come back. They all they feel safe. They know that it's a good program, and once again, it's home for them too. So I don't have too much staffing I've got to do, just a few here, a few there. Staffing's going well.
Right. And, I was, one of my camp parents is an HR professional, and she was saying that, one of the things you camp people should be talking about is that, working at your camp is actually one of the safest jobs that they could have over the course of the summer. I mean, think about these kids. What jobs do they have now? Right. They could work at Amazon. They could work at the supermarket. Working at camp, you're outside for the most part. You got all these protocols in place.
And at least here in California, you've moved up to tier 1B and you can get the vaccine.
Yeah. All right, Tiff's leaving us.
Good
luck, Tiff.
Thank you. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that, but you are moved up the tier, so no, that works really well. Okay, I gotta go. I'll see you guys later.
Nice meeting you, Tiff.
Good luck with your call. So I just, speaking about hiring staff, I just want to give a plug out to the Project Real Job that I'm a part of, and I help create these great deliverables that are online now. If you go to the ACA website, look up Project Real Job, came up with this great flyer of why you should work at camp in 2021, and it came up with 4 great points, and then there's artwork for each one of those. So if you're looking to put it out there on social media and whatever, it's a great resource. Well, speaking of resources, we're going to go to our day camp tip of the week. But first, I want to plug our friends at Commercial Recreation Specialists, CRS, the fine purveyors of the best recreation solutions to keep camp going strong. Check out their website at crs4rec.com because CRS is serious about fun. And I don't know if you ever noticed that when you guys go to ACA National Conference, you ever notice the CRS like stuff? I mean,
Can't miss it.
yeah, these guys, they don't hold back. They are big supporters of ACA and of everything that we do. And in this time right now of like, pandemics and such, they came up with this product called Playtech. It's Recrisol. It's an antimicrobial solution that you spray on stuff, and it actually keeps things disinfected for 90 days, which seems nuts. So check it out, crs4rec.com. Ask for my friend Rich Wills. Okay, hopefully take care of you there. All right, so we are talking program tips, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to give a shout out to some of our listeners we're in the midst of the Northeast Day Camp, the Northeast Conference, with the formerly Tri-State, which joined in with the ACA New England. And I was a part of some things, and I had so many people reaching out to us, thanking us for the day camp podcast. There's a lot of this one person in particular I spoke to yesterday. He had just flipped from being a resident camp director and found himself running a day camp. And he was like, what do I do? What research? And he's like, I just listened to like all the episodes of day camp podcast. He's like, I feel like I got so much great information. I thought that was super cool. Yeah. All right. So anyway, my tip of the week is that one of my big things over the course of this fall, besides reading all about DEI and diversity and all that kind of stuff, because I really dove into that head first, is that I also created an automated marketing system for my camp. So how like WordPress is a open source kind of software that you can use to make things. Well, they make that kind of stuff for automated marketing systems too. And I used a thing called Mautic. And so now when you're on my website and people fill out a form, they get into a loop of stuff. And I had used HubSpot a while back. I had used Constant Contact for, my Renaissance Fair and things. And all I could say is that if you spend the time on one of these things and you do it well, and it's constant maintenance, constantly working on it and all that kind of thing, boy, it can save you a lot of time and save you a lot of effort, and really keep the touches going with these people, because the people that we're marketing to are basically they're busy moms, right? And during this time right now, busy moms that are homeschooling also. And they forget things. They mean to do things and they don't get to it and all. And to have a system that's constantly touching them with emails and reminding them of things and giving them calls to action, to set up a tour and do this and do that, and virtual tours and that kind of thing. Man, it has paid for itself tremendously. So that's my thing. Going to you, Sam.
All right. Well, I usually do a programming one, and this time I decided to do campfires. If you haven't seen a pie iron before, they're the shape of a sandwich, and they're these two long sticks with the two iron things on the end. And basically you just open them up, butter the outside of the bread, put whatever you want in the middle. You can do spaghettis, or like, sauce and hamburger. You can do grilled cheese. You can do fruit and make a fruit pie out of it. And then you just put the two, close it up like an alligator and hook it and put it in the fire. And they're pretty cheap. You can get them at Walmart or wherever, and you only need however many kids are going to be cooking at one time. So you only need 4 or 5 really. And then they wash them out. Next kid goes, and you keep going. It's a little better than s'mores every single week, little something different, and you can change it up every week to whatever recipe you want.
That's great. So a lot of day camp people are like, they're not really thinking about campfires. So where do you do your campfires, Sam?
One of the big city parks that we're in does have a fire ring, and we just reserved our dates at the beginning of the summer. Just finished mine today, actually, and get there a little early and have it set up just to start it when you're going to start cooking. And by the time you're done, you've got your stuff right there to put it out. But the campfire, just a minimal little campfire, will stay cooking wise for 3 or 4 hours, really. So you can rotate groups in and out to get their stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a huge part of sleepaway camp, and that's sort of what we're doing as day camp people, is trying to simulate that sleepaway camp vibe. And there really is nothing better than having a kid come home smelling like a campfire. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Mike's got them doing it while they're panning for gold.
Absolutely.
Do you integrate that stuff into your summer camp program too, or is that strictly an off-season thing?
Oh no, we're panning for gold. We're making candles. We're doing it all.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. That is so really interestingly cool.
When I was in 5th grade, the camp I went to was ACA headquarters in Martinsville, Indiana, Bradford Woods, and they panned for gold. So to me, that's definitely part of camp, is getting to do that.
So not that I want to break your trade secrets, Mike, but do you plant like gold stuff in there for them to actually find things, or are they just?
If it was gold, I'd be out of business. But we get pyrite and we break that up, and then we actually pre-package 12,000 little gold vials that have the pyrite and some water there, so it glimmers and shines and weighs a little bit more. So they actually trade the gold that they find in the sluice. They weigh it, and then they get what we call their daily share. So every kid gets their own little vial that they take home.
And did you integrate this stuff, or was this there when you got there?
Oh, we built this out from scratch about 6 years ago.
Really?
We started off with our first year, 25 schools that came, and that was approximately maybe 500 kids, and then we grew it up to about 12,000.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. The gold miners are entrepreneurs, so we figure it out.
Yeah, well, you know what I love about it? It's that it's California history, right? And and actually doing it hands-on, that's what we do at camp. It's experiential education.
The other great part of it, and I know you're like-minded with this, they come and they do all these activities as part of the field trip, but at the same time, they're seeing all the other activities that we have around camp that they don't get to do. So they're actually coming to me for a field trip, seeing all the different things. It's like an open house. And then they come and they sign up for camp.
Right. That's why I have a Renaissance fair. But actually today toured a woman, signed up with 3 kids for this summer because her kids had been going to the outdoor adventure guy, my mountain man, that had set up shop here and was running activities throughout the winter. So yeah, if you can get them to your property, get them. Right. All right, Michael, you got a tip for us?
2 tips. One, based off of yours. My new best friend is Calendly. Use Calendly to schedule everything from your tours to your interviews to whatever it is. Great little link. It's made my life easy. The other tip, this is going to be more on the practical side. I'm going to tell you right now that every camp this summer, you're going to have a COVID exposure. It's just going to happen. Freak out today. Write the letter that you're going to send out to your parents today so that you've got it set and ready to go. It's going to happen. Your best bet, keep COVID from spreading. And the NPIs, everything that we do, it's set up to do that. But you're going to have COVID. It's just there. So
Yeah.
Freak out now.
We had Dr. G a couple times last year, and one of the great things that she told us, she said, it's not if you're going to get COVID, it's when you're going to get COVID. So just start thinking like that. And that was very helpful for my framing of my mind. So Mike, what's your view on these people that are calling and emailing me now left and right about doing rapid tests at your camp and being able to test, within your camp?
For day camp, it's not necessary. The fact is that test is only good as when it's taken. So in terms of testing for day camp, it's not necessary. It's a hurdle that's going to put too much stress on your plate. It's a great tool for resident camps. The rapid tests are great for when you have exposures, but those tests can only be taken 3 to 4 days afterwards to have any relevance. So they're absolutely a great tool, but pre-testing and doing the spot testing during the summer day camp, it's not going to make your camp any safer.
Yeah, no, I agree. So what's your advice to the camps that didn't run last year? So so you have a staff person that calls you and says they tested positive, right? So we had that experience.
Yeah.
And then your entire staff starts freaking out, right? And they immediately want to go get tested, right?
So that's why I have a whole exposure report that we fill out. So it's taking the time, the day of when the exposure happened, and then we're backtracking. We're doing our own contact tracing, and we're actually figuring out before they're going to know, who do I need to have quarantined? What groups are going to make us shut down for the time period? And then I'm going to go around and I'm going to tell the staff members, yes, you need to get tested, or no, you don't. You got to remember, it's a matter of, number one, are you wearing your masks? Number two, it's less than 6 feet for 15 minutes or more. So there's all the different things you need to take into account to whether or not someone needs to be tested. The other thing, once again, this summer, if you can get the vaccine, get it now. And that's one more layer of stress that one more layer that you're going to be able to eliminate in terms of your stress for camp this summer.
It's true. There's no doubt about it. So in California, I'm guessing no, from what I heard at the day camp call the other day, it's different in different counties. So, but in your county, the staff has to wear masks and still, try to socially distance from each other while they're with the kids, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So we're whatever LA County tells us to do, we're going to do that plus an extra step, just because that's what made us successful last summer. So if it's a matter of wearing masks, we're going to wear masks. The fact is, parents are going to say, my child doesn't like to wear a mask all day. Well, guess what? When they're here at camp and they're wearing a mask, they have no problem with it. And kids are much better about it and much more adaptable than the adults are. So if they're out there having fun with their friends and they're having a great time, they're going to wear their mask. It's not an issue.
Yeah, my thinking on that is that people like us, that we've had 50 years of staring at people without masks, and it's harder for us to understand and accept, right? Whereas these kids, they're like, whatever, and whenever these parents are having these conversations with me, because I'm doing a lot of in-person tours now, and the parents keep pressing me on the masks. And unfortunately, New Jersey, they don't have to wear masks in their group, at least, outside. But while they're having this conversation with me, their kids inevitably tugging on them, saying, Mom, we don't care. I don't care. Okay. About this. Like literally, they don't care.
It's, Mom, I need to get away from you. Send me to camp. I'll wear a mask.
I'll double mask.
I had a little girl last summer that wouldn't pull it up over her nose. And, when I asked her to, she said, my mom says I'll have a stomach ache if I pull it up over my nose. And like, thanks, Mom. That was very nice.
Oh, Lord, help us.
Yeah, she ended up dropping because the mom couldn't handle that she had to have the mask on.
Well, look, Sam ran last summer too, Mike, and as did Tiff. And people mentally were at a much different place. It was all new. We were still washing our groceries back then. And now there's just a lot more acceptance and a lot more understanding of what goes on. And I wouldn't be surprised if that family filled out an application to come back this year, Sam, because now, it's just people struggled with it at first. It's understandable. You have to hand it to the ones that didn't, right? You have to hand it to the ones that had the courage to join us on our voyage last summer.
And there weren't many of us, were there?
No, it was a small crew. I mean, we're like going to be like a survivors club one day, right? We'll get a special pin when we go to ACA conferences, hopefully. All right. Well, anyway, thanks, Mike. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Now you can go back to fighting the government and doing all these things that you're doing out there in California. I just want to thank you for all the camp industry, for everything you do, for all the hard work, because like I said, I've been in your shoes and I know what it's like to spend all these hours in creating all these things and these web pages and all the stuff that you do, and for the greater good. And I do believe it does come back. I think karma is good. But like you said earlier, like you're learning things yourself as you're doing it too. It's building your skill set and meeting great people along the way.
Absolutely.
I want to thank our Go Camp Pro team and AM Skyer, commercial recreation specialist, for allowing us to bring this podcast to you. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the Day Camp Pod on your favorite podcast platform and check out our show notes. Get to see the picture of Mike and Augie cruising in his convertible, because there's nothing better. And the other episodes at daycamppodcast.com, as well as contact information for the show, our guests, and my wonderful co-hosts, Sam and Tiff. Thanks for listening and making yourself a better day camp professional. We'll be back next week with a mini pod, and in 2 weeks with another full episode of the Day Camp Pod.